I'm Yeonju from Asian Boost Next. Is there any identity or meaning that your name gives you? Many Koreans also have an English name, so we wanted to find out if that had an effect. Let's find out what they had to say.
My legal name is Jung-ho Lee. My English name is Jasper.
Hasung. My English name is Madeline. My friends also call me Maddie.
Lee Jae-hee. It's Harold. Yeah, Herald.
제 이름은 김인성입니다. 네, 제 영어 이름은 스캇입니다.
My legal name is Lee-hyun Kwon, or in Korean we say Kwon Lee-hyun, and my English name is Andrea. Or I also have a nickname. I go by Drea as well.
I grew up in Korea most of the time. I went to Hungary when I was 7, came back 11. I didn't have the English name back then.
I was born in Korea, but I moved to the States when I was really young. So I lived in the United States for most of my childhood, and then I came back to Korea, and I've been here ever since. So I guess I grew up in both countries.
Basically, I was born in Korea. For my first 10 years, I lived here, and I moved to Saipan when I was 10, third grade. So 4 months ago.
For school?
Yeah, for university here.
저는 서울 양천구에 있는 신월동에서 자랐습니다.
Well, I prefer to be honest, Jung-ho more better because I've lived at Jung-ho for 23 years. It hasn't been that long since I started using the name Jasper. I think about like 6 months.
So when I was in the United States, I preferred Madeline just because nobody could pronounce my name correctly in Korean. I like both equally, and I respond to both equally. So, yeah, I like both of my names.
Harold. I don't really like my Korean name. It sounds like a girl for some reason. I tell my friends to call me Harold, so every day. I even write Harold Lee on my test, not my Korean name. So yeah, everyday basis.
제가 외국인들이나 아니면 영어 수업을 할 때 주로 사용하기 때문에 거기에 대해서 영어 이름은 저에게 뜻깊고
I use it quite often whenever I introduce myself to other people. Typically, I'll say, "Hi, my name is Andrea. You can call me Drea." So I use it pretty regularly.
I chose one while working for Asian Boss. I worked as an interviewer before. Sarah, she actually recommended a name called Jasper. It's really rare. I really liked that I chose that name. So for foreigners, I try to introduce myself as Jasper instead of Jung-ho.
I made my English name myself. So I think I was 7, 8. I really like the cartoon Madeline. I just found it frustrating when people couldn't really pronounce my name right, or sometimes they wouldn't even try. We were in the process of thinking of different English names just because it was frustrating for me when people couldn't pronounce my name correctly when I was younger. So I found that annoying. And a lot of my other Asian friends or friends that didn't have conventional English names, they made English names. And so I guess I wanted to jump on the bandwagon, and I was thinking of names, and then I was just telling my mom, I was like, Mom, what do you think about Madeline? She's like, yeah, it's pretty. And then that name sort of stuck, so that's how I got my name.
When I first entered third grade, my mom gave me my English name.
So did she tell you beforehand, you're gonna get an English name?
Oh yes, she did. I actually wanted one.
I've had my English name for as long as I can remember. I think I had it since I was a young child, and it was given to me. I didn't choose it. My parents gave that name to me.
I don't remember exactly how I felt, but I really liked it. I never introduced my name as Jasper to Koreans, so I feel like my identity is known as Jung-ho instead of Jasper.
We wanted to talk about how you react to when people call you Jasper when you don't really know them, on YouTube and social media and stuff.
Well, while working for Asian Boss, they're now calling me Jasper. I feel really awkward. I've never been called as Jasper before because I made the name 6 months ago.
Will you respond to Jasper?
And I always explain that, it's my stage name, just please call me Jung-ho instead of Jasper. When we're meeting each other face to face. For a business relationship, I would definitely say yes. Of course, I prefer my Korean name because I was born with that. My legal name is that.
I guess when I made an English name, I was like, oh, it's still me. It's just, I guess, a different name that other people can call me. Oh, because the environment in which people called my name was different, I did feel a certain like difference. But when I came back to Korea, I think when I was like, in Korean middle school and high school, people just called me Hasung. And I think that sort of like almost balanced it out, I guess. And when I came to this university, I just say I also go by Madeline, right? So I'll introduce myself as Hasung because that's also my name and that's my legal name and that's the name that my parents gave me and I'm very proud of that name. So yeah, I guess right now I go by both names and I don't feel like I act differently when people call me a different name just because everybody knows both names. So
It was actually for my life in a foreign island. It was for that purpose. I have a second name that's Harold, and I would prefer you guys calling me that. So Jaehee is supposed to mean be the top but be the brightest, but Harold sounds more energetic to me for somehow.
A few of my friends told me that their Korean names were really hard to pronunciate, and that's why they created an English name. But I also heard that it's not really a common thing in other Asian countries. I also heard that most of the hagwons, they actually mandate students to come up with an English name. I don't know the reason why. I also have a few friends who have their own English name, and they got it when they were attending to these hagwons. Yeah, this was like pretty interesting to me.
usually in Korea, I know a lot of my friends, they get English names from like academies, like hagwons and stuff, or from school, right? And people will give them a certain name. But for me, I think my parents, they never like pressured me to get like an English name. It was sort of everything was motivated like from me. And it was at a certain point where I felt like I want like an English name. So it really depends on, I guess, your experience. I know a lot of friends that just lived in Korea their entire life, and they got English names from, hagwon or the cram schools. Or sometimes there's also people like me where they lived in a different country and people wouldn't, pronounce their name correctly and or it was too difficult to pronounce. So they just got an English name because they felt like it would be easier in terms of like living and getting by, and they wouldn't have to deal with those like annoying parts where you would have to like constantly repeat your name over and over again. So I think it really depends on your experience and your experience.
아무래도 미국이 지금 네, 힘이 막강하다 보니까 거기에 대해서 그 미국만의 언어가 세계로 퍼져나가고 있기 때문에 그걸 대중적으로 사용하고 있지 않나 싶습니다. 하지만 우리나라만큼까지는 빈번하게 일어나지 않는다고 생각합니다.
I think it's really normalized in a lot of ways. Like whenever English camps are hosted in Korea, or you go to like a hagwon, places like that where you have to learn English intensively, they usually make you create. They usually tell you that you need to have an English name. Like they say, okay, so like what's your English name, And so I think people just assume or start to realize like, oh, it's normal to have an English name other than the name that I was given. So I think that's typically why.
Oh yeah, so I do speak Chinese a little bit, but the thing is in Chinese characters, they get the pronunciation from like your Korean characters because in Korean we use 한자, right? And so my name in Chinese is Xiacheng, which is like Hasung. So yeah, it's not that different from my Korean name. It's just taking those specific characters and just changing the pronunciation. But yeah.
No, I actually only use English and Korean.
What do your Korean friends call you?
They actually call me neither. They gave me a nickname now, 해롱이. Some people say that they can't pronounce my name. It means dizzy, kind of, in Korean. Yeah, it just sounds like that. they call me that because when I get drunk, I kind of become 해롱해롱.
Any last things you want to say, Jungle? Last shot.
Yeah, I just want to tell the international audience that I think I want them to understand this culture because we have so many English hagwons that actually force students to have an English name. Just please accept it as it is, and that's it.
So are you saying that like it's okay to encourage people to create English names?
Well, yeah, why not? I mean, even if they can't speak English, I mean, having an English name could be okay. Don't you think so?
At the same time, I feel like if I had introduced myself or I was really adamant in my international friends calling me Hasung, maybe the circumstances would have been different. But yeah.
Have you ever thought or discussed about this topic with your friends?
I did. So I have a couple of friends that lived abroad for a really long time, and it was really interesting and almost comforting to find that people were having the same issues. Well, not to say that it's like a problem or anything, but sometimes it can be confusing because a name ties in with how you like identify yourself. So yeah, whenever I would talk with my friends that have similar backgrounds to me, they're like, yeah, I had the same problem too. Like, I don't know, like, I guess I go by both now. Like, I don't really care. Both of them are my names. And yeah, it was really comforting.
Thank you for watching.
What do you think about having more than one name? I hope this video will help you understand why Koreans have an English name. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay curious.